Hello YouTube gear lovers, enjoyers of outdoor good times. We are back with another exciting edition of rifles and shit. I don't remember what I called this last time, but basically we're doing a video series where we're talking about rifles, rifle setups, because because it's fun and fun is good. So if you have ever went through an adventure in the forest to find triangles for princesses, or you just like rifles, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And I want to know what you all think of this concept. So once I get through the information, let me know what you think down in the comment section, because this is going to be a little bit different than what most people are used to. So I myself, among others, have talked about in the past about a lot of the YouTube and internet shenanigans regarding rifle setups, how a lot of things get conceptualized that arguably should or should not be a thing, with all the acronyms like the CQB rifle, right, which is kind of a thing. The Mark 18 was kind of developed for that, but the GPR and the DMR and all the different acronyms that are out there. And some people have made the point that this is just all internet buffoonery, that rifles can be general purpose or they can be mission specific. I don't really care. You can do whatever you want, and I can do whatever I want to as an American with a platform. So I'm going to make up my own rifle acronym for this particular concept. And again, I want to know what you think about it, so let me know. And so a lot of people are familiar with a lot of your modern fighting rifles with a lot of the ability to attach various accessories, right? What I'm going for here is what I'm calling the BFR, or the basic fighting rifle. The BFR, or basic fighting rifle. And what does that mean? Well, it's really, really common, especially on the intertubes, for people to kit out their ARs as much as possible. And by the way, I felt it is obvious in its face, but I didn't even mention it in the last video that all those rifle concepts we were talking about were AR styles, 223 and 5.56 shooting AR style platforms. That's what I'm standardized to. That's what I shoot. I'm just hyper kind of obsessed with ARs. So that's what we're talking about. So now that we got that out of the way, the basic fighting rifle, and what this has, and we talked about this a little bit in the last video, is basically no attachments other than a basic sling. And what this is the Daniel Defense Retro 5.56 in its stock configuration, other than I added the sling and these little Picatinny, or excuse me, 1913 style rail covers. So, and I got to know this rifle a little bit more. I've got to be a little bit more intimate with it, and I've kind of unlocked some of its secret sauce. I think there's a lot of things that were conceptualized in this rifle that Daniel Defense hasn't done a really good job of advertising, maybe because they didn't make a lot of these. It is a limited edition. But what do I mean by a basic fighting rifle? Well, it's very lightweight. It has very basic use. By the way, this is empty. No attachments to get caught on anything. No lights or lasers to require battery replacement or to make it off balance. And the thing I like about this, what designates this, and I have a couple of different examples here that we're going to talk about, is the bayonet lug. The bayonet lug renders this a basic fighting rifle, and I can fight in more ways than one with this, is the idea. So those of you that may have been in the military, particularly the Army or the Marine Corps, might have trained to fight with pugil sticks, right? So those are set to teach you the martial skill of fighting with a blade. Fighting with an actual blade or bayonet gives you standoff, gives you ability to cut, to fight manually, hand-to-hand combat, if you understand the angles of attack in that regard. So, and I think I'm a firm believer that not all rifles need to have lights on them. Not all rifles need to be set up to do night vision. Not all rifles need to be set up to do positive identification via magnification and or light. You may think they all need to be, but basically, when I was in the Air Force, we used M16s with nothing attached to them. So now this is the Daniel Defense example. Let me give you a little bit more of a classic example. This bad boy right here is a classic LE 6920 Colt M4, a basic M4. And this is basically the same thing parts wise as was used to be standardized in the United States Army and Marine Corps, and to some extent the Air Force and Navy. The M4 basically is the same configuration, other than this does not have the ability to do selective fire or automatic fire, and it has a 16-inch barrel as opposed to the 14.5 as per the military issued M4s. This is set up with an actual Colt provided carry handle A2 sighting system. It is a bolt-on because it's a flat top, and this has the kind of hard to get now Colt labeled Rogers Super Stock, which is a really interesting stock because it has absolutely no play whatsoever. The A2 style or classic AR style front sight base, F marked of course for the flat top, classic bird cage flash hider, and of course the bayonet lug. Now the reason I like the Daniel Defense a little bit more than the Colt for the bayonet is that I have a 14-inch barrel as opposed to a 16-inch barrel, although you don't get much difference. Actually you do, look at that. So you get a little bit more just play or blade on the Daniel Defense, but the Colt example, well, this one doesn't work. Be very careful. That's when you have to take the sheath off. You could arguably get a little bit more structural integrity with it actually going over the barrel. But another example of a BFR or a basic fighting rifle. You'll have to excuse the young neighbor boy at the gate talking to my daughter on his motor vehicle. But you can think of a concept, you know, you have a homestead or something's going on, something you need to defend, it's daytime or whatever, you got a couple of buddies, a couple of friends, a couple of family members you just need to hand some rifles to. Couple of these laying around, hand it off, basic fighting rifle. Don't need to worry about batteries, don't need to worry about PCC checking it for everything functioning as far as electronics, because there is no electronics. The basic fighting rifle. So, now, again, we'll come back and do more in this particular series, and those of you that are like, oh, that's not technical, it doesn't do night vision, I got something for you. The next video will be on what I call the CQB Night Fighter. We'll give you a little taste. All right, that's it for my rifles and shit series. So hope you all enjoyed. Later.